Elentila Lumenomentievo. Welcome to Tolkien on Tap. I'm TJ. Grab a drink and enjoy. Almien. Welcome back to Tolkien on Tap. I'm TJ. With me tonight, I have the Silmarillion herself, Lea, again,
Hello.
coming back. Hi, Lea. How are you doing tonight?
Hi. I'm good, thank you.
Oh,
How are
I guess
you?
it's I'm well. I guess it's morning for you though, technically.
Technically, by
Yeah,
18 minutes.
you're living in the future. You're in
I'm in the
tomorrow.
future. You're in the past, man. You're in the past.
Right.
You're
Thanks for
living in the
coming.
past.
Thanks for coming back, Lee. And also I have someone new joining us, our friend Bree. How are you doing, Bree?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. So we met Bree through I think Threads, I
It
believe,
was Threads
is where we all
of
met.
all places.
Yep, yep. And not to really give Meta any like big ups, but you know, it did bring a lot of people together. So Bree, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into Tolkien?
So my name is Bree. Let's see. My pronouns are he, they. And I first got into Tolkien when I was a little, like sixth grade, seventh grader. And I would spend most of my time in the school library. And I was really into any kind of fantasy, especially like Tamora Pierce, like the Alana like Lioness series, which is like if you guys haven't read it, it is fantastic. It is about a girl who disguises herself as a man to become a knight, which in retrospect says, predicted a lot about me in my gender journey. Um, but I was just working through all of the fantasy and I picked up The Lord of the Rings and it was just like an instant click. Like I devoured those books so fast and it I was in love. And now I am on a Tolkien podcast and I'm going to, Westmoot, like I'm paying several $100s to meet a bunch of Tolkien people and go to a Tolkien convention. And in September I'm going to Hobbiton. So it's just, yeah, it took over my life. It's sick.
Nerd. Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
What are you drinking tonight
I
out of
am
your War of the
drinking
Rohirrim mug?
I am drinking a peach cider that I got at Sprouts because it was on sale and it's delicious. I felt
Very
like
nice.
peach cider is a very hobbity drink.
Yeah,
It seemed
yeah,
fitting.
for sure. And Lee tonight will be our Build a Pony, so we can return back to Rivendell safely.
Sad
Um,
times.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Real quick before we like start, there are the drinking game rules in the Red Book of Westmarch that I have here. So I will read these to you, Bree,
Okay.
and then we can get into it. So these are the things we drink for. And Lee, I don't know if you know all the there's new rules now too.
Oh, there's new
Yeah,
ones. Okay.
people have added to this.
Oh,
All right.
wow.
Um, the game is pause. I always pause the drinking game when I explain the rules because I'm not gonna get sloshed from the very beginning.
Right, right, right.
Finrod, Findorato being mentioned. Nola Finway, Fingolfin being mentioned. Nelio Finway, Maedhros, Maitimo, any of these names being
Oh
mentioned.
boy. It's
If we say fuck Elway, Singolo, Sindiculo, Eluthingo, any version of his name, that's a drink. If Athrobeth is mentioned, if the Shibboleth is mentioned, if Finway is mentioned, if we talk about Gandalf loving hobbits, that's a drink. If we talk about Faramir, that's a drink. If we say for Frodo or like defending Frodo, if we're defending Frodo and someone doesn't say for Frodo, that should be two drinks, by the way. And then if anyone says any of Turin's names, that is a drink. So
oh
anyone playing,
no.
yeah, if anyone playing along at home, those are our rules. Yeah, Gloomweaver just added that
I,
last one about Turin.
I,
You're very
I could,
brave to
I could be
institute.
so mean.
Why? Well, I didn't say game on yet.
No, but I could be so mean at any point during this.
Oh yes, you
Yeah,
definitely can. You definitely can. Oh, that's
you're
the fun of being Bill the Pony, isn't it?
you are
You have
being
the
very
power.
brave.
I have
A
power.
certain rule in an episode about queer Tolkien readings. Very brave. We're gonna be
Yeah.
sloshed.
Yeah. Oh, it's fine. Listen, I got 2 bottles of wine tonight. So I'm drinking this blackberry wine that I have not even opened yet. and I got the cheap kind because it opens twist. It's not
Yeah,
a.
you don't have to worry about a corkscrew. Yeah, I've
There you
got
go. There's a
loads
nice
of the
sound clip.
Lea and right here, so we can refer to the text. We're
Nice.
talking about, yeah,
I
our
like
boy,
that.
our
I
emo
like
boy.
that. All right, so it's game on now because I have to
Okay.
ask Bree before we start. Who is your favorite character?
Oh boy.
Hold on, should I get my drink ready or not?
I'm trying to think. It's one of those things where it's extremely difficult for me to pick because I love all of them. I
Mhm.
am like, I apologize in advance. I'm a huge Frodo defender, so for Frodo or
For
whatever.
Frodo. Hell yeah, off the bat.
Frodo!
Awesome. I'm glad that was off the bat. Ooh, that's nice wine.
I'm staying hydrated in this game.
I also really love Eowyn and I love Elrond. My sweet, kind of summer, experienced all the horrors
Yeah.
and has come out just being like somebody who's like, you know what? I'm gonna build a home where everybody is welcome and everybody
Yeah.
can feel safe and like I love him. I feel
I
like going to the last homely house would fix me.
yeah, I
Yeah.
really liked Don Marshall had a YouTube video where he's explaining like in like 2 minutes or something the entirety of like the Lord of the Rings Legendarium from beginning to end. And at the end
Mm.
of each age, he says Elrond is sad. And it was the funniest but saddest thing at the
Yeah.
same time.
Oh,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
oh, he loses everything, but he's still so kind.
Well,
It's
that's
it's
not speaking very highly of Elladan and Elrohir. Although we don't know if they go.
we don't know
That's right.
if they if
Tolkien
they
said in
do.
one of his letters that they delayed their choice,
Oh yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
which
Okay.
which to me suggests that it means they did go. They
Right.
just
That's right.
delayed going.
So I mean, at one, it seemed to him
I
maybe like he
cling to
lost
that anyway.
everything.
He knew
Yeah.
he
I
knew
mean,
that there was a possibility because he knew
yeah,
they had the choice.
and
Right.
they hadn't made it yet. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's get into the topic tonight. We're gonna talk about some queer stuff tonight, guys. Um,
Yay.
Bree chose this topic, and I'm extremely excited. I've been listening to like YouTube videos, and I read some Mercury. Is it Natus or Natus? I don't know how to say their last name. Anyways, I actually followed Mercury on Blue Sky and then got followed back, and I was like, what? That's awesome. Yeah, I geeked out. So go ahead, Bree.
So, in terms of like why I brought this topic to you is because I am my friends jokingly call me a yaoyologist because I'm really into the history and like
Sorry.
anthropology of slash fandom. Yes, I am a yaoyologist.
That's amazing.
Right? I didn't expect that.
I wrote my master's thesis on queer fandom and how transformative queer fandom can really be a safe place and a place of experimentation, self-discovery, and community, especially considering like we live in a world that really doesn't want us to exist. So, and in a world in which our existence is often erased from lots of stories that are well known in like mainstream media. So I think that there's something I find very interesting about LGBTQ people seeing like a piece of media that they love, knowing that they're not in it, and be like, you know what? I'm gonna make this mine in order to survive in our society. And so I think that that is something very good and also something very Tolkien-esque.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm very, very interested in like the history of slash fandom. Um, I collect slash fanzines. I actually have this is my one little thing I can brag about. When the fires were here in LA, this is like what I packed in my go bag. Like the very first thing in case we had to evacuate was I have a copy of this Star Trek zine called Obscene, and
Mhm.
it contains the first ever known published fem slash fanfic of all time.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's very
Amazing.
exciting. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have questions? I've never been on a podcast before. You need to be my Gandalf, guide me a little bit.
Guide you a little bit. No, I like what you said about like finding like a safe place in stories. I actually so I reached out to Eric Champa Anderson when you told me you wanted to speak about this, and I was like, I probably should start consuming a little bit more like queer scholars things. He also suggested like Queer Lodging's podcast. Um, so I listened to some Mercury stuff. The one about Sauron being a femme fatale was awesome, by the way.
Ooh, I haven't
And
listened to
the revelation that Sauron is basically like an inherently queer character because you're taking feminine coded qualities or feminine qualities like that society has deemed are feminine, um, and place them on a male presenting character was mind blowing to me. Um,
Mm.
and they used it was a that paper you had sent me, Lee, about remember you were like, there's one thing that is a little unsettling, but like this is a really good article. You remember that one you sent me?
Mm,
The Mercury was quoting that about like how um the feminine character, the women in Tolkien,
yeah.
um they use counsel to move the story forward, and the male characters use action to move the story forward. So that was cited in there, which was really cool. And then just the realization that like, oh, Sauron is inherently queer, and Sauron's the one who's like the main protagonist for two ages, not one, and he's a big antagonist in the first age. Now, of course, it's not great representation, but it is cool that like there is a character that's inherently in there. And then I was listening to a Queer Lodgings podcast, and it was the anthology episode from 2 years ago, I believe. And they were talking about how Beowulf is not heterosexual at all. And I've read Beowulf, but I read Beowulf in high school. And that's been a few years ago that I was in high school, over 20. And so I have, I'm looking at my Beowulf right here. And I was like, I feel like maybe I need to go back and read that and figure out why. Cause like, I came to terms with my sexuality and my identity way later in life. I mean, I knew who I was when I was younger, but society does what it does. Society's going to trample you down, whatever, regardless of
Mm.
if it's a queer identity or otherwise. So yeah, it was actually I was actually really glad that you wanted to talk about this stuff, because a big part of this podcast is also me learning. That's been my last couple of like the last week or week and a half or something since you reached out.
Yay, that
It's
makes
really,
me very happy.
yeah, it's really enlightening. It's really cool. And it's actually, the more I hear about it, the more like comforted I am by like my love of Lord of the Rings, which is already or Tolkien in general, because it's already such a beautiful, hopeful story. I mean, I've made content about Estelle and all that stuff, and Eucatastrophe. And I was listening to all these things because as I drive back and forth to work, it's a bit harder for me to read things because
Yeah.
ADHD is a bitch. But yeah, listening to it, I like would catch myself like smiling at the like revelations that they're coming up with, and now I just want to consume all of it. So thank you, and if Eric ever listens to this, thank you, Eric.
Yeah, I've not listened to them yet, but I'm very curious to know if anything that Lee or I say in this episode lines up with what you've heard from them. So let us know, because I think that would be really cool to have like divergent readings coming together and finding
Yeah,
the same things.
yeah, absolutely. So you wrote a master's thesis on queer literature, you said?
So basically what I did was I interviewed various members of fandom. It wasn't so much an interview. Basically, I told them, I was like, I want to know about how transformative fandom. So transformative fandom refers to fan fiction, fan art, fan videos, meta written by fans, anything that takes like the original source material and transforms it in some way.
Mm-hmm.
The scholar Henry Jenkins, he refers to this as textual poaching. So kind of like taking from like those in power to make it your own thing in order to survive. Um,
Okay.
what I did is I told people, I was like, tell me in whatever format you want. If that's an interview, an essay, a poem, a drawing, how fandom has intersected with your identity as a member of the LGBTQ community. And I had so many wonderful responses. And what I did is I looked at all those different responses and I found common themes. And then from there, I built my thesis, which is that queer fandom could be a form of like reparative reading and ways in which we can survive in this society that wants us gone. A lot of people used fandom in order to discover their identity later in life, similarly to UTJ. I think one of my favorite all-time essays was written by a friend of mine from the Legend of Korra fandom. She's like, like she was at the time, I think she was in her 50s. She wrote about how both Korrasami, but also the Korra ship Kaya / Lin Beifong, which are two older, like middle-aged women, how those ships allowed her to explore her bisexuality, even though she married very young to a man, and how like that allowed her to have a safe space to connect with other like sapphic women her age and like explore herself and like become more secure in her identity and her love for women. So it was like stuff like that that I found extremely beautiful. So I took that and I wrote like 70 pages of just me being like, look at this. And I enjoyed it. It was like super fun. I
70
will never
pages.
do it again. I almost die. Like
How do I
writing thesis is something else.
how do I read that?
I can send it to you. It's on
Yes.
academia.edu. It's on ResearchGate too. So I can
Yes.
send it to you.
Yeah, links or anything. Yeah, I'd love to read that actually. Because
Oh,
now,
thank you.
now, yeah, absolutely. Now that you have like turned my mind towards like the academic side and then like we're gonna talk about queer stuff, and I was like, well, I gotta know things. I don't want to like go blind into this, like just using my own experiences, and just being anecdotal.
No, but that's a form of fandom research. So in my master's thesis, I said it was a form of, to an extent, self-ethnography. So you're part of the group and you're also like bringing your own experiences to it. Your background and your like life story is no less valuable a means of understanding and exploring this topic than any number of like essays and books written by academics.
Are we gonna do this thing where I'm gonna cry on the podcast for the first
No,
time?
no,
That was super sweet. Thank you so much, actually. No, it's also like all of my friends are so fucking smart. It's ridiculous. Like I feel like I'm an idiot listening to people.
no,
Like
no, no, no,
I
no,
just
no.
pretend to be smart. I'm just charismatic and loud. That's
That's like the number one thing that will make you smart is being curious.
oh, I'm that kid who never grew out of the why stage in life.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
That's how you learn.
yeah.
And
That's
also,
all I do. And like
intelligence isn't a real thing anyway.
I have a weird perception of like needing to like appear intelligent. That's why I speak the way I speak. I'm not intelligent. No, I am. I know I am. I don't need to self-deprecate. I'm just kidding.
Don't
Anyways,
self-deprecate. Don't
oh,
deprecate us enough.
this feels like an episode that's gonna be like therapeutic for me to have had.
Oh,
So like off the bat, like super big thank you for you. I'm like already I feel like I'm super indebted to you for doing this. And I want to turn a little bit because like this made me think of because Lee, David, and I were speaking. I think it was last week. Something about how, gosh, I can't remember the exact wording of it, but I found it interesting when I found out about the fan fiction because I never got into the fan fiction of it all. I just do this thing where I read it and that is what it is. Like every once in a while, my mind might wander a little bit with like a question, but like generally, like to me, the story is a story. But I know Lee is huge into the fanfic part, and Lee is specifically like a big fan of some of the queerer pairings. Um, with your favorite being, I believe, Silvergifting.
Silvergifting and Rossingon.
And yeah. Well, I knew that one, but I was pretty sure that Silvergifting was number one. And then
Silvergifting is probably number one,
yeah,
just because of the dynamic of it is so interesting to me.
yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, like why it's interesting.
Yeah.
Just because like the complexity of their relationship, and I think there are like myriad ways you can interpret that relationship
Hmm.
in terms of like did Sauron have ill intentions all along? Did things change in him as time went by? Because it was 300 years.
It's
He was
wild.
there with Celebrimbor working side by side every day for 300 years.
Mhm.
And yeah, I just think there's so much like opportunity there to explore like that time and like what happened during those 300 years and what kind of relationship did they have. And I find Celebrimbor a very interesting character even on his own, aside from that, because of like there's who he is, and then there's the like the two legacies that are hanging over him constantly that he's never really able to step out of the shadows of, which is there's the one of always being the second best. He's always going to be the second best smith to Fëanor. So there'll be that kind of thing of him wanting to make something to be known, just to be known as Celebrimbor instead of Celebrimbor, Scion of Fëanor, like, to make his own stand. And then, of course, there's the much darker legacy that the Fëanorians left behind
Right.
of the Kinslayings, which
Mm.
even though he didn't participate in, he's still like irrevocably associated with because he is a Fëanorian. He is one of that family that did these things. So I always felt like he'd always be like have those aspects weighing on him and affecting him and wanting to do things more to help so he can, as they say, stand on his own merits, both as a smith and as a person, as an individual, and not always be associated with the stuff his family did, which unfortunately leaves him ripe for manipulation.
Yeah.
And yeah, and because like we see time and time again how Sauron is so good at working out people's weak points and exploiting them. And yeah, he would find it, he'd see Celebrimbor, he'd know exactly where to target him. So it's just like the whole dynamic of that is just so interesting to me. And then even more so if you add in a romantic element to it, in which then whichever way you interpret it, of like, did Sauron always have ill intent or did he not? Did things change? No matter which way you look at it, it ends up as this like heartbreakingly tragic story, which I'm a sucker for.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I like to torment myself with these things, apparently.
Wait, so when in
Um,
Rings of Power, Charlie Vickers cried after
Oh,
Celebrimbor died, did that like
yes.
absolutely kill you?
I was made up with that.
Yeah.
Like, even as it was absolute anguish, I was made up because I think it worked into showing the complexity of Sauron, because I saw so many people after that asking why did Sauron cry? And it's like because he was sad.
Yep.
Because he was sad that Celebrimbor was dead. And like this is just like the way that Sauron is, because the things like he in his mind he genuinely believed, I feel like, talking about Rings of Power, but like it kind of you know more generally as well, but like he genuinely believed that Celebrimbor had pushed him to that point, and he didn't necessarily actually want to do it, but it's what he had to do. So yeah, he's sad that he's dead, even though he's the one who's just stabbed him and done it. He's still sad because it's just like this twisted kind of way that Sauron's mind works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something very childlike about that moment, I think, and about Sauron in
Mm,
general, especially as he's portrayed in Rings of Power, where again he's working on these levels of self-delusion that almost seem kind of naive. And so
mm,
I think in that scene he's really acting like a child who broke his favorite toy. Like,
Yeah.
mm,
and it's like, I can't fix this. It's broken. I can't believe he made
yeah,
me do this. Because again,
yeah,
like that level of like self-delusion will never allow him to experience real genuine guilt because he
Hmm.
has to be, he can never let him experience that because it'll slow him down. Um, and so yeah, he's a fun little guy to rotate in your brain, I think.
He's such a toxic bitch. He really
He
is.
is. I
Such a
like
fucking
that.
toxic bitch.
Yeah.
Because I agree. Because Lee's the one who like introduced me to that aspect of things. I think Lee's the first person I ever saw write, or even I never even heard the words silver gifting or silver fisting or whatever. I was like, wait a minute, people think that Sauron and Celebrimbor like got it on? Tell me more.
See, it's crazy to me that that didn't occur to you. Because it just seems like so obvious a thing to me.
Like,
Listen, I'm oblivious as fuck a lot of times. All right. I just
they
go
were
about life like making jokes and like making light of the world and like reading things every once in a while. And then I go play my little guitar and then I'll re-engage with the world again. Like I'm like Finrod in that aspect where but this is my personality. Like I come back, I'm like badgering out of my hole, like, hey guys, I'm still here. And then when I'm done, I'm like,
Oh,
I'm going back to the hole.
TJ. Oh, TJ, just you wait.
Shit.
Just you wait.
Damn it. I just said Finrod.
Yeah, I was gonna say, hold on.
I forget that I do things sometimes. What do you mean just you
No,
wait?
but like, I feel like, okay, they were homoerotic lab partners for 300 slutty years. And, like those 300 years that Tolkien doesn't even touch on. And I think like that's what is so compelling about fan fiction to a lot of people is it lets you like play in that space and taking these little hints and being like, I will write a 200,000 word novel about this one mention that they worked together for 300 slutty years. Like it's crazy.
300 slutty years. Good God. Maybe I should make that the name of the episode of the 300 slutty years. Good God. That's amazing. I don't know why I want that tattooed on me. But now I need it.
I won't take credit for that turn of phrase. It's from a ye old Tumblr post about Alexander Hamilton being dead for like 300 slutty years or something like that.
Okay.
It's incredibly silly.
Yeah, but I don't like see things in any particular. I will say though, having come to terms with who I am and how where my identity lines up has made me start to see things in a hugely different way. So like it's now I can't not see things. Double negatives, everyone. Let's work it out. Yeah, so like when I was listening to Queer Lodgings and they were like, I mean, listen, whether you like it or not, Lord of the Rings itself it's an inherently queer story, whether it was intentional or not. Like it is Bilbo the like bachelor for his entire life, like Frodo also Frodo and
Yeah.
Sam. I just the revelation of even reading the name of the title was I can't remember what the title of the episode was. It was something about like a queer reading of Eowyn and Faramir, and like the first couple of sentences is about how Faramir has was it Faramir or Eowyn? One of the two has bi wife energy. And I didn't. Yeah, it is Faramir. That's right. I haven't finished the because I think that's a 3-parter. I haven't finished that one, but yeah, like I'm like actively like seeking things out like that now. Also,
once the gay lens comes on, it doesn't come off.
I repressed this shit for fucking like 35 years. Like I knew when I was in fucking elementary school because I did things. That's all we're gonna say right there. But by the way, this episode might also be titled "How TJ Comes Out to Anyone." But like, I'm just making like posts in like threads and Blue Sky and TikTok about like queer things, and then now this episode is like super queer, and I don't give a fuck. If you don't know, this is me. Fuck y'all. I'll turn on. I wish I could turn on music in this, but I feel like. Well, I feel like once I do that, like someone's gonna be like, "Hey, this tiny podcast that like 8 people listen to are they're using some music and you should get them." You know how that happens? Like it's ridiculous.
It's bullshit, especially because I wanted to show you guys some of my favorite like vintage slash and fem slash Tolkien AMVs, but I can't. We'll have to do it.
Well, we'll do it when we're not recording.
Yeah, or on some random. We'll have to post it on Billy or something. I don't know.
Bring it to Westmoot.
Yeah, bring it to Westmoot.
Yes.
A screening of our favorite. Yeah, but yeah, no, I'm glad you're using this as an opportunity to hard launch your identity to the public.
Yeah. Whoops. I came out to my 2 friends last night.
Yay! Congratulations.
One person that I've known for 25 years. I've played music with him, and then his wife, who is the sweetest person in the world. And all he said to me was, "Cool, awesome. Like, why do you seem afraid?" And I was like, "Because I don't know how the fuck you're gonna react." And he was like,
"Yeah,
do whatever the fuck you want." And I was like, "I love you so much." She goes, "Shut the fuck up," because that's how he shows affection. That's how he shows affection. He's like, I don't. Whenever I tell people, I call him Squishy because he's like got this hard exterior, but he's got like a heart of gold. And I call him Squishy, and so his wife started calling him My Little Squishy.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Oops. But no, he was awesome. He was just like, I don't have to learn a new name, do I? And I was like, well, no, because I'm still gonna go by TJ. I'm just changing what the T stands for. He goes, cool,
yeah.
thanks. And I taught him what pronouns were today, which was cool.
I'm proud of you.
Because
It's hard. It's
it
hard,
is.
especially when it's real
Oh,
life, right?
yeah.
Like
I was
in-person
terrified.
friends rather, because you guys are my real life friends, even though we haven't met in person. But when it's
Boom.
people you know for a long ass time,
Mm-hmm.
it does heighten, and you actually have to have a conversation about it, because you can't just like, like when you post on, like, you can subtly put your pronouns in your bio or whatever.
Right.
But it is, yeah, I totally understand. Congratulations. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. Next step, my parents. Although that won't be easier because like I don't rely on them for shit. I love them, but if they want to write me off, write me off. I don't give a fuck. I love you guys, but this is me. This is me. All right, now we're changing this into a what's it called? What's the name of that musical? The one with P.T. Barnum that was super not realistic at all. Hugh Jackman. The Greatest Showman. The Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman.
Welcome to the part of the show where we turn into the Greatest Showman podcast. Haha, tricked you all.
Let's talk about queer ratings of the Greatest Showman.
Yeah. Yeah, that's gay as hell. What are you talking about? First of all, it's a musical and only
P.T. Barnum stands for penis.
Hey Bree, do you have a favorite pairing in fanfic?
This might be extremely surprising, given that I literally programmed a bot called Sam Frodo bot, but Sam Frodo is my favorite Tolkien pairing, at least. I
Nice.
love
I
them
forgot
so
you
much.
made that bot.
It's on Blue Sky if you want to follow it. It used to be on Twitter, but Elon Musk hates me specifically, so he disabled it.
That's fine. I hate Elon Musk. He can go to hell.
Yeah, me too.
I don't really get political on shit, but I guess like just me existing now is political because I'm transgender and that people fucking find me political. Sam Frodo bot?
Yeah.
It's Sam Frodo BOT on Blue Sky.
Wait, no. BOT. Yeah, Sam Frodo BOT.
Oh, it's samfrodo.txt.
.txt. Okay, I couldn't remember.
Following. All right.
Yay!
Following. That's hilarious.
But yeah, it just tweets out like every few hours. Like I fed it a bunch of quotes from both the films and the books that are just like, when I read them, I'm like, whoa, what did he mean by this?
Well, something got pointed. Well, something was pointed out through the things I was reading and or listening to, that if you go back and you reread and look at it with read the Lord of the Rings with a queer lens, and you look at Aragorn's interaction with Arwen, and then or even Eowyn, and then you go back and look at like the way the interactions between Sam and Frodo are written, like Tolkien goes into great detail about like the warmth of Frodo's hand and the shyness with which Sam talks to Frodo, and with the women talking to Aragorn, and then they talked is the sentence. Like what?
I think that as far as when he writes Sam and Frodo, if we're going to like compare it to a canonical heterosexual pairing, I think the one that comes closest in terms of the tenderness and specificity of writing it is Beren and Lúthien.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the parallels with Frodo and Sam, Beren and Lúthien, and Maedhros and Fingon.
Yeah,
I'm ready to hear this. I'm gonna let you two just have at. I love hearing this stuff.
Like the main specific one.
Yep.
Is
and the song.
Yeah, is the fact that so Lúthien finds Beren on Hollingauroth. She's singing, and Beren hears her, sings back. That's how she finds him. Fingon, there we go.
All right, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Where did it go? The silences were sudden shivered to silver fragments. Faint there quivered a voice in song, that walls of rock, enchanted hill, and bar and loft, and powers of darkness pierced with light. He felt about him the soft night of many stars, and in the air were rustlings and a perfume rare. The nightingales were in the trees, slim fingers, flute and viol seas beneath the moon, and one more fair than all there be or ever were upon a lovely knoll of stone. In shimmering raiment danced alone, then in his dreams it seemed he sang, and loud and fierce his chanting rang. All old songs of battle in the north, of breathless deeds of marching forth to dare uncounted odds and break, great powers and towers and strong walls shake, and over all the silver fire that once men named the burning briar. The 7 stars that Varda set above the north were burning yet. Light and darkness, hope and woe, the emblem vast of Morgoth's flow. Huan, Huan, I hear a song, far underwelling, far but strong. A song that Beren bore aloft, I hear his voice, I have heard it oft, in dreams and wandering. Whispering low, Lúthien spake. And then we have that. This is in the Lays of Valerian. And then, hold on, let me grab this book that I'm using to hold up my phone. In Return of the King, we have
It
Okay.
is also in the Silmarillion that she finds him through the singing as well.
I got that here too. I have these
Yeah.
all marked. I have like a bunch of like things marked for you guys in terms of like queer readings. But yeah, so in Return of the
Bree,
King.
stop putting the ring on.
Okay, so, oh my god, can you please work my precious, beautiful phone?
I believe in you.
Okay, so in Return of the King, when after Sam thinks Frodo is dead, and Frodo is brought into Cirith Ungol, we have this where Sam discovers that he's been captured. First of all, this scene starts with this line. And okay, so in terms of like pairings within, like queer pairings within Tolkien's work, I have like 3 tiers, which is like the shitposting tier where I'm like, haha, do you think that like Gandalf and Bilbo explored each other's bodies, right? The second tier is like, what did he mean by that? And then the third tier for me is he was so crazy for that, which is like, there's no other explanation for this. This comparison with Lúthien is an example of he was so crazy for that. Okay, so he cared no longer for Shagarath or Snaga or any other orc that was ever spawned. He longed only for his master, for one sight of his face or one touch of his hand. At last, weary and feeling finally defeated, he sat on a step below the level of the passage floor and bowed his head into his hands. It was quiet, horribly quiet. The torch that was already burning low when he arrived sputtered and went out, and he felt the darkness cover him like a tide. And then, softly, to his own surprise, there at the vain end of his long journey and his grief, moved by what thought in his heart he could not tell, Sam began to sing. His voice sounded thin and quavering in the cold dark tower, the voice of a forlorn and weary hobbit that no listening orc could possibly mistake for the clear song of an elven lord. He murmured old childish tunes out of the Shire, and snatches of Mr. Bilbo's rhymes that came into his mind like fleeting glimpses of the country of his home. And then, suddenly, new strength rose in him, and his voice rang out, while words of his own came unbidden to fit the simple tune. In western lands beneath the sun, the flowers may rise in spring. The trees may bud, the waters run, the merry finches sing. Or there may be 'tis cloudless night, or swaying beaches bare, the elven stars as jewels white amid their branching hair. Though here at journey's end I lie, in darkness buried deep, beyond all towers strong and high, beyond all mountains steep, above all shadows rides the sun, and stars forever dwell. I will not say the day is done, nor bid the stars farewell. Beyond all towers strong and high, he began again, and then he stopped short. He thought that he had heard a faint voice answering him, but now he could hear nothing. Yes, he could hear something. And then Frodo sings back to him, which is exactly what happens to Beren and Lúthien, which is, to Tolkien, Beren and Lúthien are the height of romance. Like, they are the perfect example of pure, like, the platonic ideal of love. Because again, that's him and his wife.
Right.
So, and then of course, there's the famous Rusingon moment in which, my boy, Fingon the Valiant, son of Fingolfin, resolved to heal the feud that divided the Noldor. So he goes to rescue Maitimo from Morgoth, and then it says, this is so crazy. He was so crazy for this. Where's the line?
We said Maitimo, by the way.
Oh yeah, shoot. I told you, like, the choices for this drinking game are gonna be a mess because
Well, that they haven't been yet, but also I'm not inebriated enough
Because
yet.
we haven't started talking about the craziest. He was so crazy for that, which is
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
existence.
I can't wait to hear that.
Okay, so where did it? Okay, then in defiance of the orcs, who cowered still in the dark vaults beneath the earth, he took his harp and sang a song of Valinor and the Noldor of old, before strife was born among the sons of Finwë, and his voice rang in the mournful hollows that had never heard before aught save the cries of fear and woe. Thus Fingon found what he sought, for suddenly, above him, fair and faint, his song was taken up, and a voice answering called to him. Maedhros it was that sang amid his torment. Like, what is the reason? What does it like? He was so crazy for that.
Even if it wasn't done intentionally, there's
There's
no
no way
way
it wasn't.
that he didn't like notice those parallels, that he wasn't aware of those parallels.
Well, yeah, because it happens 3 times. Like there's so it's not like there's a ton of different times where he's like, oh, you know, this is a pattern.
And I think to me, what really speaks to the deliberateness of it, it's not just like we are singing songs in order to find our, beloved. It is specifically, we are singing songs in order to rescue them from the Dark Lord in the darkest place, in places again where only sounds of woe have ever been heard.
Mhm.
And also, I think if you pay attention to the song that Samwise sings and how they describe what Beren sings, they sing about the same stuff. They sing about the stars. They sing like the song. You can almost imagine that this song that Sam doesn't know where it comes from is like the spirit of Beren. Like it's the same song. He was so crazy for that. Yeah, I mean, there's that, and then of course with Sam Frodo, there's the iconic there is no creature more fierce than like a small animal defending its mate, which like when Sam is defending Frodo from Shelob, and it's like, what do you mean by that, Professor Tolkien? Because it's obvious what he means by mate.
He knew what he was doing.
Yeah, so there's
Well,
a lot of
also I found out that Oxford was like a hotbed for queerness when Tolkien was there. And I just found that out yesterday? Yeah, no, maybe it was the day before. No, it was yesterday on my way home from work, not on my way up to visit my friends. I did not know that. So now I need to know even more information, because like that's like, you know how like you get a taste of something, you try something new for the first time, like food wise, you go, fuck, I need all of that.
welcome.
That's what happened to me.
Welcome.
Yeah. Also, I have a
so
question real
excited.
quick. Is this the book you were just reading out of? Like this edition?
Yeah, why do you have the same copy?
This is the edition that I first ever read.
Aw.
The 19 that's I believe the 1967 edition that just only got a little bit of the appendices in it.
Yeah, I think it is, because I lost my other copy, and my dad is a what he does for a living is he gets like books that are going to be thrown away or books from like the secondhand store, and he has an online bookstore.
Mhm.
So I couldn't find my copy of Return of the King, so I was like, Dad, do you have a copy for me? And he just like pulled it off the shelf and gave it to me.
Oh, that's awesome as hell.
Yeah, I love it.
It's great. I just want to talk more about Frodo and Sam being lovers.
We can. I mean, literally, you can open up the Sam Frodo bot account, scroll at random, and find something that will make you be like, he was so crazy for that. Like,
what's the speaking of so crazy for that, what's the like biggest so crazy for that you mentioned earlier?
In terms of like,
you said like the biggest he's so crazy for that.
Oh, Turdin and Bellig.
Hold on, let me take a drink.
Oh shit, yeah.
Lee, hydrate up.
Hydrate.
All right, I need to hear this, and I'm ready. Listen, I might as well just hold the bottle. I'm ready.
Yep, that's why I was like, you're real bold. Hold on, let me grab my
Okay.
hand. I've got some dog ears right here of
there is no argument against the Turdin Bellig thing. Like,
no, there is none. The parallels to Achilles and Patroclus are because we know that Tolkien was a classicist.
Yeah.
He would have known the debates about whether or not Achilles and Patroclus were lovers.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, I just learned about the eagle and the child thing.
The what?
the eagle and the child, which was like the heraldry that they used, a heraldic symbol that they used for their book club, the Inklings or whatever. And I didn't know. I have not read. I know
That's
a
because it
little
was
bit of.
that was the name of the pub they drank at. It was called the Eagle and Child.
Okay, so the people from, I believe they're like Tolkien Society people or scholars of Tolkien were equating, or maybe it was what they called, I can't remember. I have to go back and listen, but it was something about how like they knew what they were doing when they used that symbol for the Inklings. I have to go back and double check exactly how it was said.
I mean, it's not beyond like, I feel like people often ascribe certain ideals to Tolkien just on the basis of him being Catholic, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
I'm
Yeah.
not gonna argue that he wasn't a product of his times. That would be silly. But we do know for a fact that Tolkien was friends with queer authors and enjoyed their work. Like, and commented on like them being some of their favorite authors. I wish I could recall her name. I should have written it down. One of them specifically was a lesbian author.
Yeah, I remember. And one of the Inklings was gay as well.
Yeah, so like it's not a situation like where like you can say like, oh, Tolkien didn't know gay people existed. Like oftentimes like people joke about that with with Tolkien stuff or with Naruto of like he accidentally invented gayness because he doesn't know gay people existed. But
the poet you're speaking of was W.H. Auden, probably.
that's one of them. But there's also a woman author. Oh, I'm such a
Yeah, trying to
misogynist,
find
so I
her
can't
name
remember
as
her
well.
name.
Yeah, I'm looking it up too because now she's mentioned in the letters, right?
Yeah, he talks about how he kind of raves about one of her books and how much he enjoyed it because she was a fan of his, and he was like, "Well, I'm a fan of her,"
Right.
and it was very touching. So, like, we know that Tolkien knew that gay people existed. We know that he was a classicist, and I mean, obviously, regardless of his intent, we can have these readings anyway. And I do think, from a cynical perspective of him being a Catholic, it makes sense, and him being a product of his time, it makes sense for the one, with what we could say canonically gay couple in Tolkien to be the one that ends in tragedy and to be part of like Turian's cursed life and bad choices. Like the cynical part of me says like this is another like point of it in its favor of like Turian in general has like what society back then, oh god, would have declared to be like, deviant romances, right? Like he has
Mary Renault.
Mary Renault, there you go.
Thank you.
Beleg and Turian. You have Beleg, you have Finduilas, who is an elf.
Oh, I'm gonna get fucked up at this conversation.
And then, alas, you have his sister, right? But yeah, so I will die on the hill that they can be read as intentionally in love with each other. I mean,
I want to hear that.
Oh,
Die on that hill, please. I want to hear it.
Okay.
I told you, like I'm all in on these queer readings now. Like this is my whole life. This is my whole personality now.
Yes, one of us. Well, I think the obvious one with these two is that very rarely do the heterosexual canonical couples in Tolkien kiss on the lips. They very rarely kiss. Beleg and Turian.
Lee, I don't see you hydrating.
I'm hydrating.
They kiss multiple times, one of which is on the mouth.
Okay.
Like they at one point also
literally says kisses him on the mouth.
Yep, on the mouth. In fact, you know what? I'll just read that to you. I have it.
Please
here. I have it underlined. I have it dog-eared. Then Beleg's burial in these bleak regions did flinding fashion, where he fell sadly he left him dying, and lightly o'er him with long labor the leaves he poured. But Turian tearless, turning suddenly, on the corse cast him, and kissed the mouth, cold and open, and closed his eyes.
Cold and open?
Open mouth dead kiss. Sorry, let me
They straight Frenching up in there. Good God. I clearly don't pay attention at all to things.
He gently closes his eyes and like prior to
so
this,
you've got the Lays of Beleriand right there. Is that in the Narn that's in Unfinished Tales or in the Children of Húrin?
It's in that he kisses him on the mouth. in it.
Okay,
as
so
well.
I've read it twice now, and apparently I missed everything every single time.
I mean,
The,
To
the,
be-
the only thing is that Beleg is dead at
not
the time,
acknowledging.
but
Oh,
but
oh, so
they
Beleg
he's
is dead,
still-
and Tudin, we'll drink in a second, can't be rejected. So now he's like, no, I'm gonna open mouth kiss him.
Well, hold on.
that
Where did it
time
go?
Beleg is dead.
Oh,
But however, where did it go? I literally just had it open. He was so crazy. Tolkien was so crazy for this. Okay. So this is when Turin has joined the Outlaws, and Beleg shows up to be like, "Bro, they're not gonna assassinate you. Come back home, dude. It's fine. It's fine that you killed that guy with the cup. Like, don't even worry about it."
Cyros, you talking about Cyros?
Cyrus, yeah.
Yeah, that's his name. So Beleg shows up, and Turin is like, "Bro, I'm not gonna go back with you." And he says it like this: "Then Turin's heart was turned from hate, and he bade unbind Beleg the huntsman. Now fare thou free, but of friendship aught, if thy heart yet holds for Húden's son, never tell thou tale that Turin thou saw'st, an outlaw unloved from elves and men, whom Thingol's thanes yet thirst to slay. Betray not my trust, or thy troth of yore." They pledged their troth to each other, and Tolkien uses this term only a few times, and he uses it, I think, when he talks about Adwin and Aragorn. Talks about how they
Their
pledged their
trust at Karen Amroth. Yep.
Exactly. And then here's the next slide. "Then Beleg of the Bow embraced him there. He had not fared to the feast of the fall of Orgo. There kissed him kindly, comfort speaking." They kissed multiple times. He
Okay,
said,
so
"Lo."
are we saying Tudin has like a big bisexual energy, or
I mean, I think Turin is
because of the
how many
Finduilas
times
thing
has he
and the sister thing?
I don't know if the Finduilas thing can count because he never actually
wasn't
reciprocated her
interested in her.
feelings. But then
Yeah.
obviously he did love Nino.
But I will
Right.
say how much of that was Glaudon's interference. Because he does
Was
make
it?
him believe that Finduilas is dead.
Yeah, I thought
So
he
there's not
I thought he loved Finduilas. I could be wrong. I
no
read things incorrectly a lot.
he loved him, and Gwyndor was like such a bro. He's not even mad about it. He's like, you know what? Maybe if my fiance and my homie end up together, it'll save him. Like, he's not even trying to be like, ugh, I can't believe this guy is taking my spot. He's just like, you know what? I love you. I support you. This is my friend who's a bit of a mess. If you guys make each other happy, then that will make me happy. Which is why I think they are a fantastic OT3, which is like, a throuple. But that's we can have a whole nother
OT3. Listen, I need you. Hold on. I need you to teach me terminology. What the fuck does OT3 mean? Like,
Okay, so
like literally mean.
There's OTP. There's OTP, which is one true pairing.
Okay.
So OT3
is one true thruple.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard you use OTP before, Lee.
Yeah.
For silver gifting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Continue on.
There are several OTs.
Yeah. There is the thing with Turin and Finduilas though is he really didn't see her that way, and there's one point where he's talking to her, and there's one point where Turin is talking to Finduilas, and Turin says that Turin's feelings towards Finduilas that Turin has.
So that's twice. There's 3 times. God damn it, Lee. Fuck. Thank God I have a second bottle of wine. But I feel like Lee is feeling the power in her hands, and now she's about to fucking abuse it. Yeah.
But basically, he tells her that he loves her like a sister.
Oh, wait a minute! But he loves his sister.
I know.
Like he
yeah,
loves
I know.
wife,
But
so...
he didn't know that was his sister.
I know.
But yeah,
it's still weird as fuck.
Finduilas loves him, and he cares about her, but not in the same way.
Yeah,
like his sister, whom he gets pregnant.
Who he did love.
We don't talk about that. And then we have like another.
We don't talk about that. See, the straights always fuck shit up.
I mean,
yeah. I would say
the ultimate homophobe.
I need that to be a shirt, Bree. I need you to make that a shirt. That would be amazing. Glaurung, the ultimate homo. But you do know that if we give one to David, it has to say Laurundo.
Of course.
He will not accept a Cinderin name.
I can't with his Quenya supremacy. I love all languages equally.
I don't
I
know.
think
I like calling. Damn it. I like calling my beloved
Oh,
Finderato
no.
instead of the Cinderin
Oh,
version.
okay, so here's my take.
Okay.
Tangent on the name. My
Yes,
take
please.
is that people whose names are originally in Quenya sound better, or Quenya sound better in Quenya. People whose names are originally in Sindarin sound better in Sindarin.
So
right?
Eluthingel's name. Do you like saying Elwe Singolo or Eluthingle? I personally like saying Elwe instead of
Yeah, I
saying
think he's an
Elu.
example. He's a ¿cómo se llama? An exception for me, because we
Okay.
have Finwë, Ingwe, Olwe, and then Elwë. Like that's like he was pre-Sindarin. That's his name. Like came up
Right.
pre-Sindarin, if I recall
Right.
correctly.
Well, but
But
they
if you have
changed
someone-
Elwe to Elu.
Yeah, but I'm saying like his original name was Elwë.
Right.
Like, but for example, Finderato sounds better than Finrod.
It does.
Sorry.
Drink.
Findekáno sounds way better than Fingon. Fingon
Oh,
is like
hell yeah.
Findekáno is like I am a hero. Fingon is like just some guy.
Findekáno sounds like he needs a fucking katana because it sounds like
Mhm.
it's actually it's the part of his name. It kind of sounds katana-y.
Yeah,
That's
it
probably
does.
why.
It's like a name of action. He really
Yes.
is the dominant.
Yes.
But then like Lúthien, that's the perfect name for her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to Kenyanize it.
What David will absolutely murder me for this, but I don't know what the fuck her name would be in Quenya. Lee, do you know? I feel like David would be
off the
so
top of my
upset with
head.
me because you could go to his page and find
Call
it.
him right now. I'm just kidding.
Do
I mean, you can. It's your podcast. You're condemned to be free. Do what thou wilt.
what thou wilt. I'm actually going to his page to see if I can, because he has stuff pinned to his page. So I'm gonna go look and see if he's got it pinned. Wait a minute. Why is David the Noldo not coming up? Did I spell it wrong? Nope, I spelled David correctly.
Don't forget the G.
Yeah.
Goto.
No, I wrote the name David. Is he not following me anymore? Are we fighting? Are we fighting now?
Girl, go home. You're drunk.
He does not have Lúthien in here. Of the L's, he's got Lembas, which is Quemas,
He's
and
got
Lothlorien,
Tinuvial.
which is Laur. What?
He's got Tinuvial in here.
Oh, he's got Tinuvial.
Tinuvial
Tinuvial
is
sounds better.
Tindomorel.
Wait.
See?
Oh yeah, I see it. Okay, but he doesn't have
Like,
Lúthien.
I love and respect the names in the language they were given. Sorry,
See,
David.
here's the thing. I like Lestinore more than I like Doriath.
Well, yeah. I like both. I think they both work.
I like saying Naracastorondo more than Nargothrond or Nargothrond. You know what? No, that one's evil. That one's even because Nargothrond sounds
It
badass.
sounds badass, right?
It does, but Naracastorondo feels fun to say.
But see, I'm talking people names, not place names.
Oh, okay. So like you're talking about like Maitimo versus Maedhros. That's 2.
But see, Maedhros is not.
That's 3. We do it to
Right.
ourselves, Lee.
It is not a direct translation of Maitimo. It is a.
Right.
Most of them aren't though. Most of
Right.
the
It's a
Sindarin names the
compound.
Noldor took
They're
aren't
transliterations.
actually
Yeah,
No, they're not.
but-
They're not actually translations. Most of them are just Sindarizations. So, Maedhros is made from putting the first part of Maitimo together with
And then
Ross from Rossendal becomes
Damn it.
Maedhros.
I just spilled all over myself. It didn't even spill on
No.
my front of me. It like literally went down my fucking shirt. Anyways, this bottle is gonna be gone soon. Good thing I got 2.
God.
Would there be a transliteration? I don't know how languages work.
I wouldn't call it a transliteration because most of Tolkien's like names across like they're meaning based names. They're not sound based names.
Right.
So again, like yeah, so it wouldn't be like based like a transliteration would be like sounds based. Like you know how like
Yep.
in French refrigerator is frigo, like instead of fridge. Like that's a transliteration.
Oh my
method.
god, you just blew my mind. No, but okay, so listen, my mom grew up with a friend whose last name was Frigo.
Uh-huh.
So
Well,
her name
okay.
was Anita. Her name was Anita Fridge.
Yep. I need a fridge
I need a fridge.
for
Fuck.
these grapes. You know what I mean? Okay.
Thank you both for being here. I really appreciate you. Lee, let's tell people where they can find you.
I am Silmarillion on TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
Can you spell that real quick?
Silmarillion. SILMARILLEANNE.
Thank you, Lee. And Bree, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's been a blast. How will people how can people find you and interact with you if they want to talk more directly to you?
If you would like to subject yourself to my presence, you can follow me on Instagram and Threads at Yielding Matriarch, which is YILING, they as in like they them, and then TRIACH, or on Blue Sky as Narusasu, which is the ship name between Naruto and Sasuke. I also have Sam Frodo bot on Blue Sky. But yeah, you can bother me on there whenever you want.
Thank you both for being here. It's been an amazing night tonight. I really enjoy diving deep into conversation with you two. Thank you so much. Have a good night. That's going to do it for this episode of Tolkien on Tap. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on any of my social medias. I'm on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at _Neej. Namarie.